revelation, whenever it would be revealed unto Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would read it. The Sahaba around him would quickly commit it to their memories. Because remember, the bulk of the Sahaba, ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in, were unlettered. They could not read nor write. There were some who could read and write, like Umar radiallahu anhu, he could read and write. And because of this, he was held in high regard. He was even appointed as an ambassador for the Quraysh. Now, but the most of them could not read or write. So what they did was, they would always rely on their memories. Now, these days, we very rarely use our memories. Even if we were to think as to whether we recall our home telephone numbers, at times we wouldn't, because everything is entered into our mobile phones. But in those days, they had no way of recording. They could not write down the ayat. They were unlettered. So the only thing that they could do was memorize. And because of this, and because of this constant exercising of their memory power was extremely strong. Their retention spans were extremely strong. So they would immediately commit it to their memories. And those who could write would write. They would write, yes, but they did not have the modern day writing instruments that we have. They would write it on pieces of bark. They would write it on pieces of bone. They would write it on leaves, on pieces of leather, etc. Now this was during the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. After the demise of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, during the Khilafah of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, and you have to understand that during the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there were many hufad al-Quran. Most of them had memorized the Quran. During the Khilafah of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, what happened was, there was a battle that took place, known as the Battle of Yamam, where many hufad al-Quran were martyred. There were many of those who had committed the Quran to their memory, they were martyred. And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu feared that at this rate, if the Huffaz al-Quran were to be martyred, and if they were to be killed, there would no longer be people who would have the Quran in their memory. And in terms of preserving the Quran, it is best that we compile the Quran. Now he did not come to this decision by himself. He consults Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu. Initially Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu did not agree with the idea, but after consulting, after both of them talking to one another, both of them agreed upon this initiative, and then they hand over this responsibility to Zayd ibn Thabit radiyallahu anhu. Now Zayd ibn Thabit radiyallahu anhu, he was entrusted with this responsibility. He had broad shoulders, yes, but he is reported to have said that if they, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu, if they had given me the responsibility of moving a mountain from one location to another location, that would have been easier for me than the compiling of the Quran, because he took this responsibility so seriously. And he had a very stringent protocol that he followed. He didn't go about just collecting ayat from here and there, and he did not compile the Quran. He would double, triple check. He had this protocol that he followed. He would go to someone who had memorized the Quran. He would make sure that this ayah, he had a written copy of it, or someone to guarantee that this ayah was memorized by this individual. He had this very stringent protocol, and with a lot of difficulty, one compilation was made, just one compilation. And that compilation was with Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, and during the Khilafah of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu, it was with Umar radiyallahu anhu, and after Umar radiyallahu anhu, it was passed on to the daughter of Umar radiyallahu anhu, Hafsa radiyallahu anha. Now during the Khilafah of Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu anhu, one particular companion, his name was Hudayfa radiyallahu anhu. One day he goes to Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu anhu. This was after Uthman radiyallahu anhu had sent him to inspect certain amsar, certain cities. He comes back and he tells him, "O Khalifa, the Quran was revealed upon 7 styles. This is established. There's a hadith in Bukhari and Muslim. Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu is reported to have said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is reported to have said, Kama qala alayhi salatu wasalam, along the lines of these words, that Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam taught me the Quran upon 1 style. I reviewed that style and I asked him for more. And he kept on teaching me until he taught me 7 styles. Sabat ahruf, 7 styles. So it is established that we have 7 styles of the Quran. During the Khilafah of Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu anhu, what happened was, this Sahabi observes sectarianism. This Sahabi observes fanaticism. This Sahabi observes bigotry, where certain sects started to prefer certain styles of the Quran, and they started to pride themselves over that, and there was seeds of disunity starting to spread amidst the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. At that juncture, Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu anhu, he decides to unite the ummah upon 1 style. He asks for the Quran, the compilation that was with Hafsa radiyallahu anha, and he starts to make copies of that particular mushaf, of that particular compilation of the Quran, and there was mass distribution that took place during the time of Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu anhu. And he made it a rule that only this copy should be read everywhere, and every other compilation of the Quran should be burnt. Because he feared that people might try to distort the Quran. People might try to, take pride over certain styles and omit certain styles. So due to this, he made this the precedent. And until today, we have the Uthmani print. Mushaf Uthmani, the Uthmani print. The print that was distributed during the time of Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu anhu.